after a long losing streak. The Tennessee Titans are back in the W column, and we can happily say this is a victory Monday. The Titans took down the Cleveland Browns yesterday, 31-29, and probably one of the most exciting games that we saw of the 1 p.m. slate on Sunday. Week 14, you get back in the W column, you're still 2-11. Your season is still over, but there's some bright spots, but there's also some bad spots about this dub. A lot of people aren't happy about it, and we're going to talk about it on today's show. But welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper. You can see right here, Cam Ward, solid game, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard absolutely went off. We'll talk about him later in the show. And the surprise one, which is a big problem here, but Tajay Spears, your running back, led the team in receptions with 28. Big day from Shedeur Sanders, but you didn't get the biggest thing, and that is a win, and you're still behind them in the NFL draft. A lot of people aren't happy about this because with the loss, you now do not have the first pick of the 2026 NFL draft, and we're going to talk about it. But I'm not going to say spam your W's because it's a victory Monday. I'll ask you guys, are you mad about the Titans win? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comments section. I've been seeing a lot of people being really pissed off about this win. And I just want to say, everybody calm the hell down. And it's just so funny to me because for the last 7 weeks during every loss, this is rock bottom. Things can't get worse. This team is terrible. But then when they actually win a game, they don't know how to tank. They're doing this wrong. They're doing that wrong. Calm down. You're still one of the worst teams in the league. It's nothing to sneeze about. It's nothing to be happy about. But this is not the end of the world. I know it may seem like the end of the world because after the loss yesterday, well, the Giants became the first team in the NFL draft. And then the Raiders became the second team in the NFL draft. And you are sitting at third. But it is not 100%. It is not the end. It is not the end. You still have 4 more games to play, and you have a big step above you. And it's okay, Mr. Cyril, if you don't go to that. But I was going to give them the Tankathon odds, and you could see from if you tell me, well, you have the Giants here, and then the Raiders, and then the Titans right there, and then the Browns. But the Browns have more wins than all of you. The Giants, literally the Giants, and the Raiders, and the Titans are all tied at 2-11. But if you go from the final 4 games, if the Titans lose the rest of their games and a couple teams win, then you have a possibility of jumping to that number 1 spot. But if you look at the remaining schedule for the Titans, it's rough. It's hard. It does not get any easier. You got Week 15 next week at the San Francisco 49ers. And we know that the 49ers are going in for a possible Super Bowl run. They have over 8 wins. Week 16, Kansas City Chiefs. Every single game for them is a must-win if they want to even make this playoff. So it seems like the dynasty could be over. This game right here, I thought would be the Tank Bowl, but after the win yesterday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the New Orleans Saints beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it looks like Tyler Shuck is actually one of the real deals. Surprise of the 2025 NFL Draft. And then you end the season with Week 18 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are currently the 3 seed in the AFC. They could be fighting for a spot to try and get that 2 seed or possibly even the 1 seed in the AFC. What of all this to say? I don't see the Titans winning another game. I don't see them beating the San Francisco 49ers. I don't see them beating the Kansas City Chiefs with how good the New Orleans Saints are playing. Even though it's in Tennessee, I don't see them winning that one. The Saints have already kind of blew their chances at getting the 1 pick. They might as well, just like the Titans, want to develop their quarterback. And they also just have a better roster than the Titans. And then the last week at Jacksonville, that's not happening. But the one game that we have to think about, and this is going to determine who's going to get the first pick as of right now, one person has to win this game. Week 17, Giants against the Raiders. So with one of these teams getting another win, if the Titans were to lose out, they would at worst get the 2nd pick overall. Now, if the Giants lose out, then they get the first pick. If the Raiders lose out, then they would get the first pick. But the Titans would jump to that 2 spot because one of those teams has to win. And if you look at the Giants' remaining schedule, I could see some wins on this going down the stretch. They messed it up last year winning a game. And, of course, the Raiders did too. But if you look right here, the Washington Commanders, not good. Minnesota Vikings, The Raiders and then Cowboys, they could play spoiler Week 18. Who knows what's going to happen with that game in New York. For the Raiders, it's a lot tougher for the Giants. Let's be honest here. Philadelphia Eagles next week. You ain't winning that game. Houston Texans. The Texans are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. The Giants game is the toss-up, and then Week 18 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Unless you want to play spoiler and knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs, we'll see. But you see the schedule right there. The Raiders might not win another game, and they would get the first pick in the draft. And that was the interesting thing, because if they get the first pick in the draft, well, they're taking a quarterback. It's a rough spot to lose the first pick. It's rough to go to that third spot, to lose your opportunity to trade down. But I'm still very, very for Cam Ward progressing, and it seems like he's progressing. And it seems like some of the team is progressing. We saw, get confidence, learn how to win the game. It's not the end of the world. This is your start to making that second-year jump, and Cam Ward is going to do that. And also, just talking about it, like, I still think the Titans could trade down. If the Raiders are full-on taking a quarterback at number 1, if they get the first overall pick, which very might happen, they'll take Mendoza out of Indiana. The Titans could still trade because the Raiders aren't trading that pick. We saw exactly what the Cleveland Browns did last year when they traded their pick away to the Jaguars to get Travis Hunter. The Titans could easily still do that with the second overall pick. But I want the Titans to get the first pick. I want them to have full control of what they want to do, just like they did last year. So if you want the Titans to get the first pick overall, go ahead, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and maybe don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. You got your win, but I don't know if the Titans are going to get another win this season. Coming up on the back half of the show, we're going to talk about unexpected breakouts versus the Cleveland Browns. We saw the man go absolutely off for over 150 yards against Cleveland yesterday. And what was the reason for that? A bigger unexpected breakout. We'll get into that in a second, but first I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once, and when you and I are out here making decisions every day on what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets out to a hot start, you may not have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. I love how straightforward Prize Picks is. You don't have to spend a lot of time calculating payouts. It makes it easy for you. And I made a lineup for Monday Night Football. I'm a Philly hater, so I'm going with the less on Jalen Hurts passing yards, 193.5. I trust Los Angeles defense, and I like Justin Herbert. Give me the more on a passing touchdown. And Aranda Gatson, he's been going off lately. Give me the more on his reception yards at 38.5. You can download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, let's talk about one breakout candidate that I was kind of off the entire season because he hasn't done a single thing. Tony Pollard. It took 14 weeks through the season, but he finally broke out. And he broke out against a really good team. 25 carries. They were relying on him on the ground game. That is why Cam Ward only had just about 100 yards passing. But 161 yards on the ground for Tony Pollard, 2 touchdowns, and an average yards per carry of 6.4, which is great. It's been a long time since we've seen Tony Pollard break out. And I've been waiting because this offensive line has been bad. The running backs have not been able to break through and have a hole for them to open so they can go. So it kind of just shows. Tony Pollard, maybe he isn't fully washed. Maybe he's still got something left in the tank because you saw the speed. You saw him burst outside and outrun half of this Browns defense, break a couple tackles. And the one thing about the Browns defense, they had going into this game the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. Number 1. So you went up against the number 1 team, and you still did that. That is the impressive spot for Tony Pollard. Now, I still think he's gone after the season. I still think that the Titans might cut him, but maybe after this game, maybe the final 4 games of the season that you have, maybe Tony Pollard can get something going, build his trade value, and the Titans could trade him for a late-round draft pick, maybe a 4th, a 5th. There's a possibility there. We know that he was a big trade candidate at the trade deadline. Maybe with how he's performing now, you could get something. But the reason why he was so good was the offensive line. And the offensive line, for being the worst that I've seen all season long, the worst in the NFL, not only in the run game were they good because they opened up holes for Tony Pollard to get 160 yards, they were locked down in the passing game. I was talking about before the game, there was a possibility that Myles Garrett was going to break the sack record. He needed 4 sacks to break the sack record, and he only had 1, but it was also a career low for him. This is according to PFF, and they had a tweet that I saw, and I was just like, oh my God. Titans offensive line held Myles Garrett to just a 4% pass rush win rate, the second lowest in his career. I went into this game thinking that he was going to get 5 sacks on Cam Ward. For his odds, Vegas, they thought that he was going to get 2 sacks, a minus 200. You had to bet $2 to make $1. They thought it was a guarantee that he was going to get 2 sacks. And Cam Ward, we know he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. Guess how many times he was sacked? Once. Just once. The offensive line played great. And I mean great. You had the backup center in Corey Levin as your center because Cushenberry wasn't able to play, but Peter Skronsky still playing like an old pro. Their pass blocking PFF grades were incredible, except for one guy, which we'll get into a second, and you can see right there, 23. He did leave with an injury, a neck injury, but he was still bad even before that injury. Kevin Zeitler, 63.9. Corey Levin, 63.9. J.C. Latham, a bounce-back game for him, 79.0. And Peter Skronsky, the second best guard in the NFL, according to PFF, when it comes to the pass blocking. That's what you want to see out of your offensive line. That was the main emphasis the entire offseason. You were waiting for that to happen. And it shows when you have an O-line. When the O-line holds up, you win. If they can do that the rest of the year, and hey, once you go into the offseason, you get another offensive lineman, maybe you draft a guy, maybe you get someone in free agency, it works out. But there's one guy you gave a bunch of money to. You gave over $80 million, and he has been absolute dog shit. Let's not beat around the bush. He has been fucking terrible. You have to have a conversation about Dan Moore Jr. You cannot be giving somebody $80 million to have a 23 PFF grade, letting up sacks nonstop, and letting up pressures all season long. He has been bad, and there is no excuse for him with the contract that he's made. But everybody else, J.C. Latham, you proved me wrong yesterday. Peter Skronsky, you've been great. Corey Levin, solid. And then Kevin Zeitler, you're up there in age, but you still played a good game too. But Dan Moore Jr., you got to be better, man. You got to be better. And that's why I'm not going to give a grade of an A to the Titans offensive line. For how bad Dan Moore Jr. is, it goes to a B-. But you let me know down in the comments section. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the Titans offensive line for me down in the comments section. And while you're down there, if you made it to the end of the video, why don't you go hit a sub button? We're giving you Titans coverage all the time. So hit that sub button, and as always, tighten up.